Support for this show, Politics Done Right, comes from politicsdoneright.com, publishers of How to Make America Utopia, Take Away the Economy from Those Who Rigged It, As I See It, Class Warfare, The Only Resort to Right-Wing Doom, It's Worth It, How to Talk to Your Right-Wing Relatives, Friends, and Neighbors, and other books written by Egberto Willis. Welcome to Politics Done Right. My name is Egberto Willis, your host. Good morning, Houston. Good morning, Harris County. Good morning to the great state of Texas. Good morning to the entire United States. And of course, good morning to the entire world receiving our signals via the magic of El Internet, formerly known as ARPANET, created by we the people, not the billionaires, we the people. We started the program with the Star Spangled Banner, the national anthem. America has been moving to be a better union for a long time. We've been progressing and progressing with a slight step behind every so often. But now, where are we? Hey, we got to discuss that. Anyway, without further ado, let's move to the geniuses in the studio, Senor Howard Reynolds and Jacques Van Beba.
Well, I always try to play the national anthem every now and then to make sure that I'm in America, because it sure is looking like I'm not. I'm not
I
sure
hear
where
you.
we.
I hear you. I hear you. I hear you.
These Supreme Court judges. What are you guys doing? You are enabling this, and history will not remember you kindly. Jack, you got a quarter page of wisdom here, so let's get to it.
Yeah. Good morning, Egberto. How are you?
I am fine, Jack. Good morning, my brother. Talk to me.
All right. Elizabeth Warren calls out Republicans as spineless followers of Trump, and they are spineless for allowing the big, ugly, boneheaded, evil, inhumane, immoral tax giveaway bill to the already morbidly wealthy. This is just wrong and shameful. Now Americans will have to deal with understaffed and a lack of nursing home beds, as some will be forced to close and the quality of care will suffer as staff is reduced. Not to mention the children it will starve. How can anyone stand behind a bill that is this destructive and call it beautiful? Give me a break.
You nailed it, my brother. You nailed it. This is likely one of the most immoral bills we've seen to date. And one of the reasons why is how it affects people. But the other reason why is the fraud that is going on in the Senate and the president to actually have people believe it is what it isn't. I mean, that is a fraud on America. Anyway, anything else from our two brothers, Senor Howard?
Yeah,
Anything else you want to add? Or you, Jack?
yeah, yeah. I predict that in the future, the Republicans will suffer as the Democrats have to come in one more time and balance the budget.
One more time.
One more time.
The interesting thing about it is the Democrats always have to come in and clean up. And it is sad that most people don't quite see that. When Obama came in, Obama had to clean up the Bush Reagan mess. When Clinton came in, he had to clean up the former mess. And actually, Clinton is the one who gave us a surplus, not a balanced budget, a surplus for several years. Something that you don't that something that Democrats fail to campaign on, march on, while we still have this false belief that the fiscally responsible ones are the Republicans. The Republicans have never been fiscally responsible in my lifetime. Never. I came to the United States when Reagan became the president, and that was the first time. And this was a large deficit in those days, over a 40 billion deficit, because he campaigned on something called voodoo economics. Actually, it was George J.W. Bush, G.W. Bush's daddy, who called it voodoo economics before he became the vice presidential candidate. I mean, these are historical facts that we don't promote When I say we, I'm talking those that are on the what I would call the good side, don't promote as facts as we should. But we should. You're right about that, Jack. Anyway, what else is up, my dear brother Howard? How are you doing?
I'm doing pretty good. Let me put my headphones back on here. I'm doing all right. Waiting for Brian to call
Well,
because Brian has this thing for me.
he loves you,
Only
man.
because I know he does. I love Brian too. He makes me feel so much smarter. I feel
Oh,
smarter than I really am.
I am going to leave that one alone because that form of comedy is terrible, my brother. Oh
Oh,
man. Oh man. All right, but anyway,
oh
let's
well.
get busy. Let's get busy. Let's get busy. Howard, you're a bad man. Anyway, I love you, man.
I
Hey.
oh I am. I am. I'm terrible. I'm terrible, terrible, terrible. Just go right ahead. You got a good show for us today, and I want to hear it. So let's go
Yeah,
for
we
it.
we got a show, brother. Anyway, before we get started, I want to salute Joe from Los Angeles, California, who gets up early every morning to listen to our show from the Pacific Coast. Lisa Blair in Atlanta, Georgia. Love to have you here, as well as Eric Hayes in Substack, of course, filled up. We have people talking already. Natalie Lago says, "I wish Biden administration would have expanded SCOTUS when he had the opportunity to do when he was POTUS and had a Dem majority in Congress." Beautiful. I agree with you, Natalie. Cheryl Jones says, yes, they're spineless. And we have Natalie says, Republicans always mess up the economy and Democrats always clean it up. Cheryl Jones head says, and yet, Natalie, we allow Republicans to paint themselves as better on the economy, even if they're not. And the facts are as follows: the GDP under Democratic presidents far exceeds the GDP under Republican presidents. It's a fact that anybody can look up. It's a fact that I wonder all of the times why it doesn't form a part of the narrative when folks are voting. So you nailed that perfectly correct, Cheryl Jones Head. Welcome aboard, John A. Davis. We were born for this as well. RJ Sanders, we have Gene, Gay, Asher, and many more. Forgive me if I don't call you out. Let's go. I have a lot to talk about, and I'm going to get to it. I need to get to it because you have a lot of work to do, those who are listening to the show. But before we go, we have two callers. I'm going to take those quickly, and then we'll move on to some in very extreme subjects. John in Cyprus, come on in.
Hey, good morning. Good morning.
Good, good morning, brother.
I've been
Talk to me.
watching the horror shows on. I've been watching the horror shows on the news and reading the headlines, and I don't even know which way to go anymore. I'm still on Section 70302, which is gonna make him a dictator. It's gonna weaken the courts, and the
Hmm.
Brennan Center's telling you he's weakening the courts for a reason. And it's going to allow him to just ignore the courts, which he's been doing already. And the mistake came way back when the Mueller investigation ended, and that fiasco ended badly for the courts. And the Congress did nothing. They really, really did nothing. Jack Smith did nothing. Biden
If,
did nothing. And now we got
if,
some of your callers wishing and hoping. That's too late for wishing and hoping, you know? And nobody's paying attention to this. But you know what, Humberto, this is what it is, and you know it, economics, because you know economics. It's the ability to play, to do what Martha Stewart did, and all these congressmen, including Democrats, are getting so rich, filling their pockets with stock market. So war's good. War's good. And so the more missiles they shoot and the more money they give to the Israelis to perform their genocide, the more money the stock goes up for the munitions. I guarantee you, somebody like Marjorie Taylor Greene is getting rich right now off of the stock market from munitions and drugs. That's the bottom line, and nobody talks about it. And they're going to
let,
sneak in this 70302. And right now, I don't hear the Democrats complaining.
It's interesting. I haven't checked that to see if it's in the Senate version of the bill. I had heard that they were removing it, just like they were removing the purchase of lands. But let me tell you, you hit the nail when you talk about all of this has to do with a few people being able to get rich real quickly, and it's generally the people in power. And they like to say things like greed is good. From, if you remember the Wall Street movie with I can't remember the name of the star, Gibson, not yeah, I think it was, no, it wasn't Gibson, but the name of the star. But anyhow, here's the real thing, right? Most people are good. Most people are not greedy, like want things at the expense of others. But what happens is the ones who are greedy at all costs, including fooling people into believing things that are not. And if you want to remember, I think it's a day or two ago, Howard told us a story about the shock. I forgot what's the name of the test that they did that shows how easy it is to make the average person do things, including inflicting pain on others, because of how we, to put it bluntly, how we were reared, how we grew up. We sort of grew up learning to take messages from authority as opposed to the authority from within. So these are the things that we need to. Michael Douglas, thank you about it. That from Wall Street, Michael Douglas was a star. We and It's a Milgram experiment that Howard was telling us about a few. Thank you, Howard. That was telling us a few days ago. So we have to realize those particular issues. Now, um, I have always believed, and by the way, the call that I just got, folks, I had the wrong number on the screen. It is supposed to be 713-526-5738. But don't call yet. I want to go ahead and give our thing before, and I'll tell you when. But anyhow, John, so that is where we're at. And we're going to talk a little bit about that. Anything else, real quick? I need to go to Johnny, and I want to start the program.
Yeah, yeah. The one last thing, and what I started doing is paying attention to David Hogg and what he has in his organization, and I just donated a little bit of money that I have to him
Good
to
guy.
push these candidates. And I actually want to do something, but David Hogg is somebody we should start paying attention to. That's how I'll leave you with, Humberto. Thank you so
Thank you.
much.
Gracias, hermano. Let me just tell you, I love David Hogg, and I'm actually glad that David Hogg left the DNC because he's free now to operate as a free agent to really do what's necessary to get the right people elected. Thank you, brother. Let's go to Johnny. Johnny, real quick for me again, my dear brother.
Of course, real quickly, if you allow me to get it out, and then you can say bye-bye. So,
All right.
Whitney Houston, what is she, chopped liver now? I have to listen to a right-wing orchestra instead of her. She's an American. She's iconic. And I would have liked to hear her rendition this morning. Maybe you could do that tomorrow, Magic Jack and Captain Reynolds rap. And your first caller from Cyprus, what he's alluding to is a death by 1,000 cuts here. You can't point to any one individual. There's a whole bunch of these mukes, these centrist Democrats who have their fingerprints on this stuff, who have allowed people like Marble Mouth Mitch McConnell and Chuck Grassley to start the ball rolling back when Barack Obama was in the White House. You remember what they did. That's why the Supreme Court looks the way it does. That's why it looks the way it does. There's no doubt about it. No doubt about it.
Well, to put it bluntly, if you remember, the then Harry Reid refused to break the filibuster to get President's Supreme Court justice in. He should have done it because right after when El Señor, not Biden but Trump came in, that's exactly what they did to get their Supreme Court justices in. Again, we never fight with we always take a knife to a gunfight. Go ahead.
One last correction, with due respect. Let's not forget that all these jobs under Bill Clinton, they were low-wage jobs. That's great if people need to work for something, they have to have something to do to make some kind of money. But that's what he did, as far as I'm concerned. And let's not forget, at the end of the day, both Barack Obama and Bill Clinton, they did the bidding of the far right. They're the ones that helped destroy, or Bill Clinton did, put the final nail in the coffin with regards to destroying welfare, as we knew it, the welfare, so-called welfare state, which Israel is, by the way. That's all I have
Now,
to say.
now, no doubt, no doubt that you're right. But we were doing comparative analysis, and in comparative analysis, we always want to get more progressive. But in comparative analysis, there's no look. I hit both parties. I think you know that, my brother. But
You do.
com-
You do.
but comparative analysis says that one party, even as neoliberal as they are, is much better than the other for the average American citizen. But let me
Oh,
get
yeah.
started with this, my brother. We'll talk. We'll talk. We'll talk. Thank you, man. Thank
See
you,
Houston
Johnny.
tomorrow. Meet Houston, okay? No
All
right-wing
right.
orchestras.
All right. Peace. All right. Anyway, folks, look, my friend Alex Lawson, executive director of Social Security Works, wrote an important article in Common Dreams. And I'm going to read a few of the paragraphs with my narrative in there that is a reflection of just one tiny part of the evil within this bill and how it's going to apply absolutely, if not you directly, a friend of yours, a family member of yours, somebody close to you. Alex Lawson calls it the Republican nursing home apocalypse. Look, there are different cultural things within different groups, and it turns out that while in Panama and Latin American countries, we don't have a whole lot of these things called nursing homes. It's not a part of the culture. It's a cultural thing. Most of these people most of your elderly, most of your very sick, etc., they're taken care of at home because the social strata, the structure of that country's economy, etc., is better led towards that. The structure of our economy that Americans have to work as hard as they do because Americans work very, very hard. This is a very hard working culture. And because it's a hard working culture, nursing homes, etc., have actually become in many areas essential. Essential. This is not a knock on cultures. This is just what is. And so, therefore, nursing homes is an integral part of this healthcare system, whereas it isn't in many other, let's say, Latin American countries, etc. So, when you knock that process, it hurts a lot of people. Alex Lawson said, imagine learning that your grandmother's nursing home is closing. The nearest one with room for her is a 3-hour drive away. It doesn't accept Medicaid. So if your grandmother is among the 2/3 of nursing home patients who are covered by Medicaid, she's out of luck. Your grandfather still lives at home, but the hospital near his house is closing too. If he has a medical emergency, he'll have to go to an overburdened hospital that's 40 miles away. That's what happened if President Donald Trump's so called One Big Beautiful Bill becomes law. There's nothing beautiful about this hideous betrayal of the American people unless you're billionaires who can hop in a helicopter to see your private doctor. It will make your health care worse. All to give the same billionaire a giant tax cut. The big ugly bill cuts $1 trillion from Medicaid. Even if you are not on Medicaid, this will hurt you and your family. That's because hospitals and nursing homes around the country rely on Medicaid for much of their funding. If this bill becomes law, over half of nursing homes say they will have to reduce staff, and a quarter say they will close. At the nursing homes that remain open, seniors and people with disabilities will wait in agony for someone to take them to the bathroom or give them their pain medication. Those whose nursing homes close will struggle to find another one with room for them, especially if they rely on Medicaid. If they manage to find one, it will likely be hours away from their loved ones. This bill is a disaster for people who rely on Medicaid to pay for nursing homes and other long term care, but it's also a disaster even for those who don't directly rely on Medicaid because it will devastate the entire healthcare system. Rural areas will be hit the hardest, but nowhere and no one except for billionaires is safe. And remember what I said, it's about two-thirds of people in nursing homes are on Medicaid. And we also have to remember that for every family whose nursing home, who is now unable to go to a nursing home, that has a cascading effect on that family's personal economy. It has a cascading effect on that family's stress levels. We are throwing up the flags, folks. We are warning. We are telling you it is imperative that do you be an engaged person in what's happening. The bill they're trying to get signed by 4th of July. I don't know if they can get it done, but they're trying hard. But this is a time now where these current politicians have to realize that they have to fear you, who are many more than the select billionaires that they're doing this for. We'll go into some of that money thing a little later. But Senator Joni Ernst, Republican of Iowa, told Iowans concerned about the bill's Medicaid cuts, we all are going to die. Many of us will die faster, including the hundreds of Iowans who will lose their nursing home beds. In Iowa alone, just Iowa, the impact is a massive area across the state and in each vulnerable Republican House district. And Alex goes out in this article and he named the particular nursing homes that are actually going to be closed in that person's district. He names them by name, which one will be closed based on how they're doing financially right now, the cuts that they will take that will cause them to close. Those families in those particular nursing homes or the families of those patients in those nursing homes, their life will be directly affected with the signature of this bill. So as soon as this bill gets signed, the path to that family's change of life begins. May not be immediate. And of course, after a bill is signed, it has to be turned into exact law, and then it has to be turned into actionable items that take a few months, but it's going to happen. We've been warning this for a long time. We've been warning this from before the election, but too often our prejudices supersede what's best for us. And that is what happened in the last election. Now, I want to get to specifics because when somebody like the executive director of the Social Security Works says something and speaks in generalities, of course, he named the hospital specifically, people wonder, but is that real? Well, what I did, again, is I went directly to the bill that you see them discussing right now. Notice that they still can't come to agreements. I want to start with the one with Alex, when Alex says it's going to be harder on the people who remain in the nursing homes. Because what I decided to do is say, wait a minute, does that really, support for nursing homes that stay open, isn't that does it really affect them too? And I went back to to the actual text of the bill, and I decided to go ahead and work with ChatGPT to pull out the sections that I needed and found this section that says, yes, the one big beautiful bill includes a provision that effectively allows nursing homes to reduce staffing levels, including fewer hours of care per resident. So, as it reduces the amount of money that it's given to these nursing homes via Medicaid, etc., it is also implementing laws, a law that allows a nursing home to have less care for the people in the nursing homes. In other words, reduces regulations for that nursing homes. What does that actually mean? It actually means that given that we are in a country with corporations that control these nursing homes, corporations that control these hospitals, that their only existence is to make a profit for their shareholders and bonuses for their executives. Remember, you are just a cog, a widget in the economic system. When we start to realize more of that, we will start making better decisions. You are a widget. A nursing home exists because somebody decides in this sector that they can create a nursing homes as a mean to make shareholders money. So everything that we do in this society, money comes, everything that we do in society that's called the private sector. And this is not a knock on the private sector. This is a knock in saying we need to realize there are certain parts of our society that doesn't belong in the private sector. So remember this. Nursing homes exist to make the owners of that nursing home a profit. And you go into business to make a profit. There's nothing wrong about that. But there are certain places that a profit shouldn't be made. And if the revenue source goes down to affect the profit, what our government has done with that one rule in the bill is to say the following: we are giving you legal cover to give less services to your residents, to your patients, so that if they die under that nursing home and you sue us and take you to court, we can pull the law up and said, we did what was required by law. So if you are sitting down there, if you fall because there was nobody to watch you and you are being sued for negligence, the federal government has given you cover with that one sentence in that bill. It has given the corporations cover to give you less service and not have to pay the cost of you dying, of you maiming yourself. All these things are tied together, but they don't tell you this because you would say, no, I do want that regulation that says my mother, my father has to be watched enough so that they are not left soiled for such a long time that they get infected and die. I need a law that prevents a private sector who wants to make money on giving health care from maximizing their profits at the expense of the death of my daddy, of the death of my mommy. That's what regulation does. That's what regulations do. So when you hear all these reduced regulations, cut regulation, wasteful regulations, look, regulations came to be to protect you. But what they have flipped it to be is to tell you your services will be more expensive if there's more regulation. But yes, of course, it takes more money to keep you alive. It takes más dinero para mantener tu vida. It takes more money to keep you alive. So yes, I want regulations in these domains. I do want it. And what this bill does is cut the amount of money going to Medicaid, which would mean normally less profits for corporations, but they give the corporations a way out. that while they can give less services, their profit margin can remain. Why? Because now they have the right to kill you by giving you less services. We've got to understand how these things work, people. So, yes, my friend Alex Lawson, director of executive director of social works, he puts that in the article that says they'll get less services. What he didn't tell you is the regulation that they're changing to allow that, to allow these corporations to make more money with the nursing homes, even as they get less money, can actually get the job done with less. Now, I I want to flip the subject. I think you understand. The nursing home is just one item in the Medicaid things that's going to affect just about everyone. One item in the Medicaid and nursing homes, but the same apply to hospitals. The same apply to your disabled person who is on Medicaid. It will affect you. And why is it, and what's the reason for all of this, for those tax cuts? I want to point out a grotesque a grotesque tax cut that we have. As soon as this bill is signed, Meta is one of those companies that don't that face the owner of Facebook, or rather the people who create Facebook, immediately, if that bill is signed, they can write off, in effect, a tax break of $15 billion. $15 billion is less money. We could go ahead and tell all Americans there will be no more copays when you go ahead and use Medicaid services. No more copays. There will be no copays. That's under $15 billion. But according to the bill, we are going to give Meta $15.1 billion. And how are we doing that again? Well, we are allowing them to write off all their research and development costs over the last several years. I think since 1921 or 22, we're going to allow them to write those R&D expenses for their AI and all of that off. So we're cutting healthcare, but we're allowing these guys to write off R&D. Let's learn something about capitalism. It's important, because when people like myself speak about these issues, they like to just call me a communist or socialist. I'm not. I believe in equity. I believe in fairness. I believe we should have free enterprise, not a capitalist structure that maims and kills. Let's talk about Meta a little bit and how it ties in. This is very important for you to understand the grotesqueness of this bill. Meta will get $15.1 billion to write off all their R&D for retroactive back into 21 or 22. What does that really mean? Remember why they tell us we want big profits for medicine. We want these companies to be able to make profits. After all, that's good. Greed is good. Profit is good. And these guys invest. They invest and they take risks. And the reason they are entitled to a big profit is because they take risks. And I've told you many a times, corporations do not take risks. And people, oh no, for every drug they develop, 2 or 3 drugs fail. Maybe that's true. But still, corporations don't take risks. And this is a perfect example. Let's qualify this. So, whenever you are using an excuse that you tolerate our government shortchanging you because these rich people who take risks with their monies deserve it, the profit that they're making at your expense. Let's shut that down, and I'll show you how. But beforehand, understand that most of our technological developments are originated in universities, colleges, and that is stuff that you have paid for already, and the capitalist companies maximizes on profiting from it after the technology has come to pass from our universities, etc. Understand that first of all. But most importantly, understand that when they tell you we want to get rid of regulations, we want these companies to have the ability to make profits because they take risks, understand that we have always socialized the risks of corporations. What that means is that we have always paid them back for any mistakes that they make. How so, Egberto? How so? That example that I gave with Meta is a perfect example. Meta is going to come up with AI technology. For the AI that they're going to, and by the way, AI technology is being researched in universities all over the country, all over the world, and also in private corporations who are going to symposiums and they're going to these different conferences where their engineers learn what people have been doing in colleges for AI, etc. They go ahead and improve it and develop it in their own offices as well. So they're developing AI, and what happens is for all those trips to universities, for all those costs that they incurred there, they are saying Meta is going to get that money back. So Meta didn't risk a damn thing. Meta didn't risk because they get that money back when they paid for those R&D that they're doing. They make that money back in the form of paying less taxes, $15.1 billion worth. Not only do they make those taxes back, but when they develop AI as it's rolled out right now, they're charging you an arm and a leg. I pay an arm and a leg for Chat GPT, yes. And in the process, a lot of the research that I'm doing with Chat GPT means that I don't have to pay somebody else to research. Only one person get that money, Meta or Google or one of these companies. So they make money in the front end when they profit from selling us AI, and they get their money back from research and development from the government. We pay, and if they're getting it back from the government, that $15.1 billion that Meta is getting, it is your money. You are paying for that. That's your tax dollars giving it back to Meta instead of giving it to mom and dad in the nursing home. Which is fair? What is fair? Saving your parents' life in the nursing home, or just giving a blank check to corporations for the risk that they're supposed to be taking, that if they fail, we pay for? Actually, I'm wrong. We don't pay for this risk if they fail. We pay for this risk whether they fail or not. If they don't fail, they are awash in cash because we pay for their research and development. We pay if the drug that they create is a failure, we pay for that failure because they write it off. Americans don't know this stuff because the mainstream media ain't telling you this stuff. That they don't. Corporations are not in business to take risk. You and I are. When you go work for a corporation and you break your arm, that's a risk you take. They say, "Oh well, I risk my capital." No, you don't. If let's get better. If Bezos buy $1 billion worth of stock and he loses half of his money, guess what Bezos is able to do? Write off the $500 million that he loses. Let's say you break your arm and you can't work. You can't write off the money you should have made if you had not broken your arm and remained working. You see, the Powell memo has taught the corporations how to use the psychology to keep us uninformed and thinking a thought that ain't right. And that thought is that somehow we have to make sure these guys are made whole, but not ourselves. And all this breaks right back down to nursing homes, to Medicaid, to money for schooling, to SNAP. They are always willing to cut these programs, but but they're never willing to tell the corporations we cannot socialize your losses and we cannot socialize our subsidies to make you whole and to make you more profit. So remember, social, or rather, subsidies and risk aversion that we've given them have allowed these guys to simply take our money, moving all our monies forward. And it's in the, if you read and if you go ahead and see the charts, it shows you where they have progressively taken our money. This bill, all of you listening to me, really, it is your job to protect yourself because the politicians won't. They need to know they will pay a price if this goes through. You have three, they're going to try to pass this all by the fourth. I don't know if they're going to make it. You can stop them from making it by 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 calling and nagging them so much that realize they are in danger if they pass the bill. All right, let's go to Eddie. Eddie, line number 3.
Yes. How you doing this morning?
I am doing fine. Talk to me, sir.
So I think this bill is actually going to increase access for families needing nursing homes. And the reason I say that is because when you say they're going to restrict the care that the nursing homes provided, that's not exactly true. In order to get into a nursing home, you need to require certain levels of care, and they're going to lower that standard so more people will qualify for the nursing home.
Okay, let me just tell you, sir. Um, that is absolutely not true. And I have the bill in front of me, sir. You're absolutely wrong. I don't know where you got that information from, but you're absolutely wrong. And you know, it's a danger what you have just done, my dear brother. It's a danger because it's not true. And for those who would object to the bill and read the bill, and I'm reading the statement right here. It is what you're saying is absolutely wrong, sir. And what I'm saying is the following. I'm not done, sir. I'm not done. We can't use the airwaves for misinformation. You're absolutely wrong. And everybody who reviews this bill, even myself, having the bill in front of me, every single one of us sees the same thing written in the words of the bill. So that's a lie. Continue.
So what service are they no longer providing?
They, again, the mere fact that they have reduced the amount of time that one has to care for a patient means that patient is at further risk of malalignment. There's no doubt about that, sir. But that's only one, sir. That's only one issue. Wait, hold on a second. And with regards to access, the reason that may I finish? May I
So you need
finish?
20
Sir, I'm not
to
going to
get
go through. No. I'm not going to go through that. The time has been reduced. Period. That's an absolute statement. Don't try to put circles around it, my brother, because you're misleading the audience. Let me tell you further, sir. Further, the reason they actually put this in the bill, I'm not done. The reason they put this in the bill is because they do understand that because they are given less per person as well to Medicaid, that they have to keep the profit margins of these nursing homes up. And the way they do that is allowing less care in the nursing home. It doesn't have anything to do with less time so you can have more people. It's less time so we can pay you less and your profit margin stays the same. That's what it's all about, sir. Okay, I got to go to another. I got to go to another caller, but because you've already misinformed a group of folks on online, and look, it is. Hold on, don't even leave here, Eddie. Willful ignorance is one thing, my brother. Willful ignorance is one thing, but what I've just told you there, I have given you enough information for you to go ahead and read the bill yourself so that you never come on the radio and misinform people because you would be responsible, sir. For people who believe what you just said, sir, you would be responsible for harming folks. Have a nice day. Let's go to David.
Wow, that's pretty amazing. Like cutting the time. That's the idea. That sounds like it's worse than big government. That all of a sudden they could just do a mandate, and that a person comes into a medical need, and that there's a time limit on fixing them. Otherwise, they have to just go ahead and stop. I mean, that's
Yeah.
pretty crazy. And, the Republicans for years have talked about big government interfering in our lives, interfering in the problem in business. But they all of a sudden can say that a patient can only get so many minutes or hours of treatment, and then all of a sudden cut them off.
Well,
That's just creepy.
it is
And
sick. But it's all done, David, for profit. But David, my lines are full, so I have to just leave one statement for everybody.
yeah,
But you're
yeah,
right, sir.
FEMA. Yeah,
So look,
FEMA. I was going to remind people that you went through Hurricane Michael 5-10 years
yes,
ago, with
yes.
massive damage. I'm going to bet that the region from Galveston all the way up into Houston has still not fully repaired itself from Hurricane Michael, and those rats in Congress are trying to get rid of FEMA and put it on. If a poor state is ripped apart by a hurricane or floods or anything else, they're going to demand that that state take care of itself rather than the United
David,
States look
David,
for the.
David, I gotta go, but you're right about FEMA, and it's gonna hurt those red states on the coast like Alabama, Florida, Mississippi. Thank you, brother. Let me go to John real quick. John, come on in. You got about 35 seconds, John.
Yeah, I just wanted to say already the system of nursing homes has been commodified. We're commodities, and a lot of them are owned by for-profit companies, real estate companies, etc. And the care is not up to par. It's very bad. So it will just get worse. And then who's going to regulate that? Who is going to go into those nursing homes and see what is actually going on? What they will do is just sweep it under the rug, and people like Jody Ernst says, well, it's time for them to die. The
John,
rich
I
get
gotta go, but you're absolutely right. Rich get getter, and they don't give a damn. You're absolutely right, and the regulations that they need, they're cutting. You're right, John. Thank you. Let's go to Chris. Come on in, Chris, line 3.
Hey, good morning, and thank you for taking my call. So I agree there's a lot of stuff in the bill that will harm the people, but I wish they would have broke it down into just individual bills, but we don't live in that perfect world. Just to touch on the R&D credit, the R&D credit is under Section 41, and it's been around since Ronald Reagan. And just wanted to be clear because a lot of people have a misconception of what the R&D credit is. It's no longer about just pharmaceutical companies. It's about manufacturers take this, architects take this,
I know.
engineers take it.
Look, I get it. I've actually used it, but go ahead.
No, but yeah, it became permanent. And what we're trying to fix, or what this bill's trying to fix, is what Trump messed up in his first term, which was 174, which is the amortization. Now, whenever they're looking about the retroactive right now, they're talking about companies that are $31 million and under. So this is the one that I do agree with.
Okay, wait, hold on. No, I have it in front of me. Meta is not a $31 million company. Meta gets to retroactively expense that all its R&D since 22. Continue.
If you look at what
I
the
have it in
Senate
front of
has,
me right. I have it in front of me right now, and I have the Senate bill in front of me right now.
we'll agree to disagree because it has.
No, wait,
since
no.
30
Hold on, sir. Hold on. This is not agreeing, my brother. This is not agreeing to disagree. We are past that point now.
Let me
Hold on. Agreeing to disagree says, well, maybe it's so, maybe it's not. I'm telling you, it's not so. And I have the bill in front of me. Continue, sir. So let's go to the
and
next.
let's
Go to the next subject.
Okay, so my thing is that I actually work in this business in the R&D credit. I help U.S. businesses claim this credit, and that's why I know about this subject. And I can tell you that this credit has helped so many companies in so many industries. One, help us keep technical jobs in the U.S. which is creating more jobs because it's not just
Okay.
for companies; it's for blue collar.
I hear you, brother. I get it. I get what you're saying, but it's a subsidy. And why is it that a plumbing company doesn't get a subsidy to help themselves as well? It's a giveaway. Let's talk about that tomorrow, Chris, because I do want to cover that subject with you. Call in another time when we have time, but I got 6 more callers I got to get to. But thank you for calling in, brother. Let's go to Betty. Betty, real quick. All right, Betty's not there. Let's go to Donald. Donald, real quick.
Hey, good morning. Logan's Run. Everybody lives in a utopia. When you reach a certain age, you're just shuttled on out or disposed of. And you are a number as soon as you're born. That's what your Social Security number is, and that's all you are. And who is going to collect the taxes? We have to have the corporations because we directly take the money out of the peon's check every week. So
There you go.
who's going to pay for it?
Thank you, Donald. Gotta go, Donald. Thank you, my brother. You always have something sensible to say. Let's go to Bobby. Come on in, Bobby.
Hey, how you doing? Good morning. My wife works for one of the largest healthcare companies in the nation. I'll go and tell you, it's HCA. She's a therapist. Even with the law saying that they have to spend so much time with each of their patients, they make their therapists be 90% productive, meaning they want 90% of their time to be billable. One of the other things that the Medicaid requires is that you keep detailed notes of the patients and if they're improving or not. But being 90% effective, they have doing that, then they don't have time to do their notes. But what the hospital will do is give them more patients than they can possibly see and properly do their notes and expect them to see all of these patients and still get their notes done in almost no time. On top of that, so I know for sure that a lot of these girls are going to the old lady's room. She doesn't feel like, going through the therapy. So she says, it's okay. And they just sit in there and do the notes. Don't treat the patient at all. Okay, another example. Hospitals.
Okay, Bobby, I don't have time for the other example. I get your point, but we have too many callers. Thank you, brother. Keep calling and keep listening, brother. Let's go to Betty. Come on in, Betty. Real quick, Betty.
Sorry now, but okay, I will. Trump is after our spirit. He takes away Medicare, Medicaid, Social Security. He will never break mine. For instance, when I pass away, I will be buried next to my husband. But my spirit will go to my Indian brave standing on the hill looking, That's my spirit. We have our own spirit, and Trump wants that. He wants that by taking away our Medicaid. Thank you. Bye-bye.
Thank you very much, sis. Let's go. Come on in, Brand. 30 seconds.
Yeah, you have 960 pages in front of you, and someone will dispute what you just said, and you're going to tell them, no. I read the bill. You don't have 960 pages in front of you.
You should speak about what you know. I have the entire 900-page PDF in front of me, and I have it at 940 pages. I have it it's 940 pages. I'm looking at it, sir. And it's a PDF shows 940 pages. And number two, I imported it into GPT, and whenever I need to find something, I go ahead and I put the queries in there, and I get the section of the bill covering what I need to talk about. Again, I don't do just chitty-patty research, sir. When I'm talking to our audience, I have enough respect for my audience that I don't do what you are doing, my dear brother, and that is read something off the top from the right. Read something off the right wing note and then try to influence. No, I respect the audience. Thank you, Johnny. Come on in.
No, you don't.
I can personally attest to firsthand knowledge as formerly being with the Area Agency on Aging, where I was charged with overseeing about a half a dozen nursing homes in Galveston County during both George Bush and Barack Obama's presidencies. And let me tell you, the writing was on the wall. I was warning the nurses and the CNAs back then. I says, they're putting these advisories next to the time clock for the nursing staff, that you will finish your job, but you must clock out at your clock out time. All kinds of cutbacks and corner cutting back then, and we think that taking away more money from education or from nursing homes is a recipe for success. As what's his face said back in the day, you remember that?
Oh yes. Yes,
Disaster.
yes.
This is
Look,
disaster.
let me tell you, one of the reasons I really get upset when we have somebody that tries to justify what these evil people are doing. Because it for me, look, if I see somebody trying to harm a loved one, it creates a visceral response in my body. If I see somebody on the road doing somebody harm, it creates a visceral response. And when I hear somebody try to lie to an audience and tell them that I know what I'm reading is harming people, and you try to tell them no, no, it's actually okay. I think that is heinous. I think that is evil. I mean, if you don't know, that's why one of the callers I spoke about willful ignorance. If you're ignorant is one thing, because you don't know you're harming somebody. That study that Howard spoke about the is one thing, but you can't do that. All right, I gotta go. Yeah, exactly. Howard, come on in, and then we shut it down.
Oh, have a good day, Brian.
Hey, never take an alligator to a butterfly fight.
Okay.
Anyway, I never heard that one. Anyway, gotta go. First of all, folks, the rest of the program is at politicsandright.com/newsletter. Politicsandright.com/newsletter. You can reach me directly, kpft@politicsandright.com. kpft@politicsandright.com. Love you all. My name is Egberto Willis. This is Politics and Right. And you guys know how I end this baby. I am what? Out.